Creator, Redeemer, and Sanctifier. Please be seated. Now this is the time where I invite the children, and if you're in 4th or 3rd grade, you're welcome to come with us, or you can stay where you're seated, just letting you know it's an open invitation. So all the other children, you can come forward. This is a new thing. We're doing a little children's sermon before the sermon, and then you guys need to go to do this really neat activity in that room over there. Come on over. Hi. Do you know what today is? We got to do something. Hello. So good to see you all. We've had soccer, right? And a whole bunch of other things. Well, I'm glad that you're all here. Today is a special day. Now let's look. We're in a different space, aren't we? There's a special set of candles here. Anyone point them out? Don't give them away. You know. What are the special candles? Where are they? All right. What have we got there? Tell me some things about them. Only one of them is lit. Now I know you three know. Why do you think only one of them is lit? I don't know. Do you know what this is? This is an Advent wreath. We are counting down the days till Christmas. And today is the first Sunday of Advent, which means it's the first week getting ready for Christmas. That's right. And so today is the first Sunday of Advent, and then next Sunday we will what? Light a second candle. And the third Sunday we light a special candle. It's pink. And then the 4th Sunday, we light the 4th candle. And then the very next day, we light a candle that's often in the middle. It's not there yet. We're still waiting for it. So this is a period of waiting. We're waiting for presents. We're waiting for Jesus. We're waiting for Emmanuel. We're waiting. No, Jesus is not me, but thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Jesus is here and in me and in you, but I'm not sure I want to deal with all the other things that happen with Jesus, right? Okay, so I am going to invite you to go with Maureen. Maureen, where'd you go? There she is. And you get to make your very own Advent candle. Now, if you want to stay and hang and listen to the sermon, you get to do that after the service too. So it's up to you all what you want to do. There you go. See you guys later. Good to see you. I'm excited. There's my star acolytes. One season is over, another season begins. All right, so Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I don't know if you know this, but this is the first day of the new church calendar year. We like to do things different just because we do. And these readings are the very first readings we get in the new year. What'd you think of them? Oh, all those who are smiling, like, I'm not sure what to say. I don't know about you, but I'm not too sure about them. It's because they're lamentations. They're laments. All of them. And in the Gospel of Mark in particular, it gets kind of scary. You want the heavens and earth to open up. The only time you want the heavens and earth to open up is when everything else has gone wrong, right? When you want God to reach in and to fix what is happening right now. And that's what's happening with the Gospel of Mark and the writer. He has just gone through this terrible destruction of the temple. His community is like ashes on the ground. And so, of course, calling up and asking for the heavens to be ripped open and the things to change. In Isaiah, we also get lamentations, too. We have those people who were exiled into Babylon, and they returned from their exile long after these, waiting for that. And then they return, and they're so excited. God has so many good things in store for them. And what do they find? They find poverty, their homes in destruction, chaos among the political figures, and inflation, so they can't live. And they're like, this is not what we expected. This is not what we were hoping for when we could return to our homeland. And so a lament. A lament is a very special prayer. Out of the 150 Psalms, can you guess how many of them have lament in them? I don't know. Okay, so let's think about the different types of prayer we have. We have joy, thanksgiving, and lament. Yeah, intercessions, right? So, believe it or not, lament is over half of them. There's a lament in the Psalm somewhere. This is an important style of praying. It's when you name all the things that are awful in this world, all the things that are of our Good Friday, all those things that we wish were different. I think we have a few to add to that list, right? The death, the darkness, the destruction. But the lament doesn't stop with just the complaining per se. It doesn't stop there. It goes on to say, but God, you are the God who did these things for us in the past. You are our God. We are your people. It reminds God of the promise that God has made, that God will lead them into lightness no matter what happens. That death and destruction is not the end. And in Isaiah, it goes on to say, oh God, we are complicit with all these things that are going wrong. I think we might be able to relate to that too. Especially when I think about the environment and in the world we live in, we are complicit in this. God, so sorry. Please stop being angry at us. Please forget that we are complicit. Help us. Move the mountains. Change the world. You've made this promise for us. Do it. Don't hide your face from us. Don't be distant. Well, I think that's a prayer with some chutzpah, right? These are all the things that are wrong in the world. This is how we're complicit, but you have promised us a different world. And of course, the last bit is to remind us of our role in this. We are the clay. You are the potter. Make the world change. Help us change the world. And so here we have Isaiah and the Gospel of Mark lamenting all these things in this Advent season, asking for this long night to end. And the answer, of course, as the kids rang out, is Christmas. That we are an Easter people believing in resurrection and light, even in the midst of a Good Friday world. So I think the gospel is telling us, and Isaiah is telling us, that we have to do a couple of things. We have to have active waiting and active hope. Now, let's think about waiting. Waiting's so hard. What are some things you do while you're waiting? Tell me some things that you wait for. Appointments. Grocery store is what I think of waiting in line, right? Where else do we wait? Traffic lights. We do a lot of passive waiting, where we're just waiting for the next thing to happen so that we can move on, right, with our lives. But I think this is something that they're asking for us to be in active waiting. And active waiting is like an athlete waiting for the beginning of a race. Up to that point, all that waiting is to train the body and the mind and the soul for that moment it begins. And for a people of faith, that active waiting is recognizing that we believe in hope and have active hope. Active hope is recognizing we have a role in hope. With God, of course. But we have a role here. That we're not just going to passively wait for God to tear open the clouds and change the mountains, that we might have to do something about it along with God. Now there's a story, you probably know it. It's a story of the Christian who was waiting on the porch. He was actually a pastor. So there you go. Waiting on a porch while it's raining. And the flood it rained and it rained and it rained, and the flood had marked out all the roads and all the pathways so that the water was up to the porch edge. And along comes a neighbor with a canoe. And the neighbor says, come on, hop on in. You know this story. I know some of you are nodding. You know where this is going. Come on, hop on in. And the preacher goes, no. I am praying for God to save me. Don't worry about me. Move on. It's okay. And then, of course, another neighbor comes along in a second canoe. And at this time, the water is pretty high up, and he's pretty much on the edge of the roof. And the second canoe comes by and says, come on in. No. That's okay. God will save me. Don't you worry. I will pray God will save me. And then the water goes all the way up to the point where there's no way off the roof. And they bring in a helicopter. And they send down a ladder, and what does the pastor do? No. God will save me. Well, okay. So that didn't work out so well for him in the end. And he ends up at the pearly gates. And he says, God, why didn't you save me? And God said, I said 2 canoes and a helicopter, and you still didn't come. So there's that active hope, looking for and leaning into the hope of the world, knowing that hope will come. Looking for it, exactly. Becoming it, being it. There's 2 ways of waiting for that hope. One is to have hope where you know that the outcome's going to be good. That's hedging your bets, right? Have you ever caught yourself saying, I'm hopeful for that? Well, I need to stop being hopeful for that because that's clearly not going to happen. Hedging your bets. Well, this is the other type of hope where we lean into that hope even though we know it might be impossible because we believe in a God that works through the impossibility to make things possible. And that we might be the very bearers of that possibility. So this Advent, I ask you to think about where you need to lean into the hope. I ask you to think about where you need to be actively waiting for God. And may we be part of that community that brings light into this world. Amen.